Bill C-5, an act to enact the Free Trade and Labour Mobility in Canada Act, and the Building Canada Act be disposed.
Assistant Deputy Speaker John Nader gave notice Friday morning that the government plans to move the One Canadian Economy Act to third reading by next Friday. Intergovernmental Affairs Minister Dominic LeBlanc is the sponsor of the bill. He said U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats necessitate a tight timeline, but Indigenous rights will still be respected.
Every major project advanced through the changes proposed in Bill C-5 will require real partnerships with Indigenous peoples. We've already announced that we're setting up an Indigenous Advisory Council. We will ensure that self-determination, inclusion, and respect are at the heart of this process.
The legislation does a number of things, including giving the government the ability to fast-track energy pipelines by streamlining the approval process through one office and reducing the time frame to do this from 5 to 2 years. But the Assembly of First Nations says things are moving too fast and the Liberals need to take the necessary time to do proper consultations. Bloc Québécois MP Sébastien Lemire pressed the government on how quickly the legislation is moving.
Indigenous people are being called on to play ball. And when you're given 5 days to study a bill, and when you're saying that we consulted the First Nations, in my mind, that's not consultation. Not each First Nation was not consulted.
In response, LeBlanc reassured that consultations will take place, but only after a project of national interest is chosen.
And then would allow the government and the private sector to conduct exactly that in-depth consultation. So here we're talking about, we're currently building something, but before a project is designated or approved, obviously those consultations will take place.
Speaking to media outside the House of Commons on Friday, Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet said the government is massively increasing its powers while subverting parliamentary process at the same time.
How could we go forward with such a huge bill, with huge consequences for Quebec and Canada, without at least do what we have been elected to do? And that means studying thoroughly this bill in committee. The government seems to want to avoid scrutiny on the bill.
The AFN is set to host a virtual meeting on C-5 with First Nations leaders from across the country on Monday. As well, debate will continue on the proposed legislation the same day. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.